Kyle Spicka's life would forever change when he took his grandmother's advice to move to San Diego and pursue a career in professional paintball. Earning a spot on San Diego Dynasty was a dream come true for him, but he still felt cursed with a history of second place defeats. Find out how his entire life came down to one moment where he wasn't going to let this be the case anymore on this episode of the AG21 Show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 5 of the AG21 Show. I have the 2015 World Cup MVP Kyle Spicka here on the set. And for this episode, we're going to get to know who Kyle Spicka is on and off the paintball field. We're going to get to learn about his incredible journey to playing professional paintball. And he's going to tell you what it takes to play at the highest level of our sport.
Yeah.
What's up, my man?
Not too much. How are you?
Good, man. Good. I'm staying busy with school this semester.
Yeah.
I'm a senior at San Diego State. So I took 3 midterms this week, and that was
time for this. And,
yeah,
and gym, everything, same fit.
Yeah. Trying to stay balanced, and do all the things that I got to do. But I'm stoked to have you on right now.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad we got to do this.
Absolutely. What's new in your life? What do you have going on right now?
Well, the newest thing for me is I just got back into school, so that's another thing I've added into this crazy busy lifestyle that we live. But yeah, so now I'm working almost full time when I'm here when we're not doing paintball. Then when we do have paintball, I'm working part-time paintball, trying to work on my clothing line that I've started, and now school. So it's a lot, but I like it, and it keeps me busy. And I've had the last 7-8 years of getting to just live and be frivolous. So it's nice to get back and put a little more discipline kind of into my life.
Yeah, so you talk about school, you talk about work, and you're talking about your own business as well. You want to break those down, like what are you going to school for right now? Where do you work? What do you do? And also this business that you're talking about, what exactly is it?
So when I first came out here, I started working at Nordstrom, and being at Nordstrom and being around fashion, I started to grow kind of this hunger and passion for clothing.
Okay.
And as I was going through paintball, this is obviously, we have a lot of, although we're doing paintball, we have a lot of time off as well. So
absolutely, that
started to grow as something I became very interested in. So I kind of started to follow that a little bit, and eventually I was like, I think this is what I want to do on the outside of paintball, or when maybe eventually I'm done with paintball. And I was looking into going to school for fashion actually at FITM, which is in San Diego, and they have them in LA, San Francisco. But it was so expensive. It's like $60,000 up to finish out that program. And I started talking to a lot of people. I'm like, is it worth going into debt for that? Because I don't have a lot of money to my name, so that would that put me in a little bit of a bind. And as I got to talking to more people, I realized that that you don't really get a lot of return for going and doing that. So everyone that I've talked to is like, well, you have already kind of a good idea and good eye for clothing, so you should probably maybe look into business, and then so you have that side of it. So I ended up going back to school and getting into business administration and getting that back end part of it too, while doing some fashion classes on the side. So I'm kind of getting the best of both worlds and taking what I'm learning from business and applying it to, like the mechanics and the operations of my clothing line, which is cool. And I'm actually way happier that I did that and go the fashion side route only.
Absolutely. So as far as your own clothing line, what is your clothing line?
It's called Lyle Karen. A buddy of mine and me started it in 2014.
Okay.
And he actually moved away to San Francisco. He's one of my best friends still to this day. He started pursuing some other avenues and kind of just gave me the reins. So, but I have a friend down here now that I'm starting it with, and he's my business partner. We've kind of seen where we can go with new stuff, but it's almost, it's like a functional streetwear. It's not stuff that you're gonna takes like only a certain niche of people to wear. I kind of want people to just be comfortable and look good, and it's kind of like a vintage, contemporary, modern styling. So
very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. And as far as the schooling that you're taking, are these classes preparing you? Are they applicable to what you've experienced thus far?
Yeah,
with Lyle Karen.
Yeah, of course. It's interesting. I've actually, through the schooling, all projects, anything that I deal with, I incorporate the clothing into it. So I'm doing all the business plans. I'm doing like all the marketing strategies, everything, applying that. And
there you go.
A lot of the kids in my class, the teacher's like, you can just make something up. So it's cool. I'm actually using this, like, bolstering my resume, or like, bringing stronger statements and mission statements to the company, or,
Yeah, absolutely.
Figuring out finances. And so it's cool. And I just bring the clothing line into school. So every time, I'm dealing with something or a project, whatnot, it's about Lyle Karen. So it's cool. It's kind of like they're helping me, they're working with me, but they don't really know, so.
Right. No, absolutely. And like, I think about, I talk about this all the time, like with our, American education system. Like when you're in college, man, like some of these classes that you take, they're a waste of fucking time and they're a waste of fucking money.
Yeah.
And I'm very opinionated about that. You know what I mean? Like if you are starting your own clothing brand, why the fuck are you going to be learning about rocks and, you know what I mean, studying and
doing all these
doing these lower division GEs?
Yeah.
Okay, now, but there's also value to other classes as well. Like I know at SDSU, I am still a part of the Lab and Entrepreneurship program. And what this does is this is a program that mentors kids. It's like, let's say 30 kids on campus, and gives them the opportunity to actually sell something on campus. Yeah. So I was marketing for a sock company in the spring.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yes. I was marketing for a sock company in the spring, and exactly what you said. Like when I went to these classes, it's once a week on Wednesday mornings. When they were teaching us the business model canvas, and they were teaching us about customer segmentations and different marketing strategies and different distribution channels. Like I was like, okay, I can apply this here, I can apply that there, I can apply that there. But it wasn't until we had something called Entrepreneur Day on our campus where they allowed us to sell, the socks. My favorite experience of the entire semester. There's nothing like
that energy, kind of,
man.
Like the pride of doing it.
Absolutely. Like, and you see it at these paintball tournaments too, like with these different companies. Like, it's exciting, and to credit to HK Army, you know what I mean? Every time I go around their booth, the HK Army is the company that sponsors San Diego Dynasty, who Kyle plays for. Their energy is great, the atmosphere is great around that booth, and I'm sure that translates into sales for them.
Yeah, that's their environment,
as
and
well.
People want to be a part of that lifestyle.
Right.
You always hear that word, lifestyle, but
it is, man.
It really is there,
And what is the lifestyle behind Lyle Karen?
The lifestyle behind Lyle Karen, interesting. It's kind of about balance for me. Like, I think that you need to have your work ethic and have fun and balance of not just all that, but how you approach emotions and feeling about things. And I wanted to bring something that's comfortable for most people to wear, wherever it may be. So I'm still kind of working out like all the fine details of it, but it's something for me that just makes me happy seeing people be comfortable in my clothes or enjoy wearing, like Scott Kemp. I give him my clothes and he's always rocking it. So that just like stuff like that makes me feel really good seeing.
Absolutely.
We have a buddy who is a local DJ around here, and he always wears my stuff, and he's always asking out. So it's like, it's good to see that progress, and people actually care about it like I care about it.
Right.
I want people to that feel pride wearing the clothes that I put work into as well. I know I'm not in it for the money, to be honest. Like, obviously, on a long-term thing, it would be cool to have that be substantial enough for me to only do that. But right now, it's just it's like just a cool aspect to get to do that and then make a little bit of money on the side here and there, you know.
Absolutely. So you talk about balance and you talk about doing things that you're passionate about. Now let's bring professional paintball into the mix. Yeah. I want to know about your journey to playing professional paintball, because if I'm not mistaken, it's a pretty unique story in itself. Yeah. So let's hear it, man. Can you kind of break it down for us?
Yeah, of course. So I grew up just me and my mom, living in a little town in North Carolina, and I moved a lot. So just kind of fast forward a little bit, I was born in Washington, D.C. I moved to North Carolina. I lived in Florida for a year, and now I'm here in San Diego. So kind of been all over the East Coast, and then stopped over here where I think I should have been the whole time. But as I was growing up in middle school, a bunch of my kids in my school played, and they brought me out one time for a birthday party, which tends to be the common thing with kids starting to play paintball, and I got addicted instantly. Kept growing up, and me and my mom didn't really have a lot of money, so begging her, like pulling on her arm to buy me stuff was tough, but you know, she's kind of wanted all my passions to be successful and wanted me to do what I want. So she helped me out with that as much as she could, and then I instantly started working when I can. Like I don't know if I was 15 or 16, but I got a job at a restaurant as a busboy, just to help pay for paintball only. And I played school sports. I loved soccer, lacrosse, baseball, wrestling.
Damn, bro.
Right? I loved it all, and I unfortunately had to quit all those because I had to work an after school job. Okay. And that's when, you know, that's when practices are, is after school.
Absolutely.
So I started doing that, and finally was also pulling on the arms of my friends who had a team. I'm like, let me play, let me be on your team. Finally gave me a shot. I was terrible and terrified at the same time. It was kind of like a double-edged sword.
The perfect combo.
Yeah,
for
I was like
terrible and terrified.
I was terrified always when I played when I was younger. Like I'm not lying, probably for 3-4 years I was terrified. But for some reason, that addicted me. That challenge with myself, that battle.
Right.
I gotta get over this. Like a little bit of a fear of when you get bunkered or something like that. It was something that, you know, I was constantly trying to earn that and beat this factor with myself, which I think was another addicting factor to it. So after I continued to grow, I got on a team called Gridlock, which is a team that's kind of dissolved back now, but everyone knows who they are, you know. And under feed team to Trauma, we started playing a bunch of tournaments, D3, and we got, I think, 3 second places in a row. And then, and then right as I was about to go to D2 Gridlock, the whole organization diminished, and Rob Sondrick, who was running the camp and basically the owner of Trauma and everything, all Paintball Centrals in North Carolina, he was just done with it. It was kind of putting him in a little bit of debt financially, and that put I want to say 110 players out of teams.
Jeez.
And a couple of the guys were...
That's a huge group
I mean, we had 2 D3 teams. We had a D2 team. We had a D1 team. Wow. And then we had the pro team. And then you got to think of there's obviously players that are injured or can't play, or players that are aspiring to play with those guys. And you know how it is. You have friends, obviously, that are trying to get on the team or whatnot. So between all that and then outside friends, you know, I would compare it to the teams now, Boom or something Jesters. They have a few teams.
Oh yeah.
So and it has a big following. So you can imagine there's those 5 teams with a ton of family and a ton of following.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's a community in itself.
Yeah.
Right? That's a lot of people you're talking about.
So I mean, before I got onto, I think it was 05 when right before I got into Gridlock, I went to World Cup.
Okay.
And I watched they had 2 split pro divisions. They had the NXL and they had regular pro paintball. And on one field, I watched Trauma, my North Carolina heroes, beat Russian Legion to win World Cup and win $40,000 was the prize back then. And I watched that happen, and I mean, the stands were huge back then. It's like I just remember it now. It was so long ago.
Absolutely.
And then on the other field, there was Dynasty beating, I think it was Excessive. So I had my two childhood dreams. Dynasty, I've said this so many times, but I had these guys on my wall as a kid.
Yeah.
I had B-Short on my wall. I had full photos of Dynasty. There would be like full posters of, you know, like I remember specifically I had Skinny Kevin's one who ended up being my coach. All along linings on my wall. I still have old photos of them. But it's cool now to be who I am after that. But not to get off subject, a lot of the players after the club was kind of diminishing, we started to go down to Florida to play with Palm Beach Vipers, mm-hmm. another kind of big camp for, Florida. And I was like just graduating school or starting to graduate high school. Mm-hmm. And I heard talks to them. I was like, I don't know, that's kind of a big move. And I'm right at the pivoting point of mm-hmm. going to college or following this paintball career. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, the right thing to do was to pursue school. And for like the way, society mm-hmm. puts this outlook on us, that was probably weighing on me mentally. Absolutely. To like, you need to go to school. And I talked to my grandma and my mom. I remember we were sitting outside of this hotel. I think it was right after a paintball tournament, and I asked my grandma, who was a professor at St. Louis University, and she's like, you can go back to school. You're not going to be able to have this opportunity again, so go follow that. And, if you go to Florida, you could still go to community college while you're down there, and you can experience that. And for a year is not going to mean anything. So go follow that and see where it goes. If it takes you somewhere, you can continue at that, or you can come back and do school. Like, so I'm a professor. I know how this stuff works. Like,
that's so powerful.
Yeah.
To thinking about like your grandma, who was a professor, gave you that advice.
Yeah.
To follow your dreams, dude. Imagine if you went to school. Like, imagine if you didn't.
Yeah, it would be a whole different story. I probably wouldn't be here right now in California talking to you.
That's crazy, dude.
Living in this house with Ryan and Scott Kemp, people that I looked up to all my life.
So that's a huge turning point in your life.
Incredible turning point. It was basically by her words right there. Had that changed so long ago. So it's kind of a phenomenal point.
Does she still keep up to date with the success that you've had in paintball? Both of
them came to the last tournament.
Wow.
And I'm actually bringing my mom to World Cup. It's been like her dream to come to World Cup. She loves it.
Awesome.
She when I'm playing in Europe, she wakes up at like 3 or 4. She sets her alarm to watch the games. So
the best.
She loves it. I think she loves it more than me. She like knows all the teammates' names and everything. I remember that the last tournament she came to all the ML Kings and talked to all them. They're like so surprised because they never met my mom. My mom like knows things about them.
Right.
She's like, you're the 6'7" brothers. Like, so. Anyways, I go down to Florida, and Ken Bryson, the coach, brings me in, and he lets me actually stay with him along with like 3 of the other teammates. Mm-hmm. But I didn't officially make the D1 team actually when I first went down there. I had to play with the D2 team for an event and kind of establish, my goal and role on the team. So I did that for a year, started playing with the semi-pro team. I went to school actually, community college down there, and took 3 classes for a semester. And then as we are getting into the end of the year, it was the tournament where there was kind of a pro lockout, I think it was 2008. Okay. And we brought Thomas Taylor to come play with us.
I remember that.
Yeah.
2008. I remember that World Cup.
And Mouse and Rainey, I believe it was.
Played for Vicious.
Yeah, Mouse and Rainey played for Vicious, and it was a crazy match. And we came down right to the end.
That was epic, man.
We kind of got a bad call that I think should have went in our way. And I remember the guys, it was like the last point. They had won the match, and Rainey was just left and back center, and like 3 of our guys torched him bad, and then he came over and he's like, we still won. So it's kind of a funny thing. We talk about it to this day. But that was the closest I had. So as I said previously, when I was on Gridlock, we got a lot of second places.
Right.
So that was another second place. I'm going to continue at these second places.
I mean, at this point in your career, do you feel like I'm cursed?
A little bit, yeah. And I've said that so many times. It's funny you took the words out of my mouth. I think it was like 7 national second places that I took before I actually won an event. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know how this is like coming out of my grasp every time.
Right.
So after that, I've been, as I'm going to these events and I'm hanging out with Trauma before, I'm like starting to meet these East Coast guys, HK, and this is when Ironmen was like crushing it. They were doing the best. So I was talking to Short. I was always picking these guys' brains.
Oh yeah.
Running away from Damian Ryan and Tally back in the day. They're always like trying to haggle me. So I started building a bond with all these pro players that I looked up to, and I think that was important to where the progression of my career.
Absolutely.
So the next thing happened after that. I was talking to Mouse and Marcel, and like, we have Aftermath semi-pro team, which was playing really, really good. They were winning every event, barely losing any matches, and they were feeding into the pro Aftermath team. And Marcel's like, you should come try it out. So I was like, I would love to do that. That would be great.
Only problem is
I have to move out there, and
right.
deal with Mike Inman. So I went out to a practice where the pro team was playing Tampa Bay Damage in Florida. And actually, I'm kind of fast forwarding a little bit. I flew out to play with Semi-Pro Aftermath, and I made the team, but Mike said, you have to move out here.
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to fly you out. You're not that good enough. He was a little bit more harsh than the way I'm telling the story, but so I flew back, and at this time I'm living with a buddy in Florida, and I had already decided I'm gonna drive back home to North Carolina, stay with Mom for a little bit, and then I was gonna make the trek out with my car that had 150,000 miles. I don't even know how, and at this point I have like nothing to lose and everything to gain as far as paintball.
Absolutely.
So I go to a practice.
You're also taking a huge leap of faith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, very, very.
And that's what I think is unique about this.
Yeah.
It's like I see 2 turning points here. I see the turning point in you getting that advice to pursue your dreams.
Yeah.
And I also see the turning point as like you have a decision. Like,
exactly.
Do you take this journey? Do you know what I mean? Do you uncertainty is what you're facing when you do go to a place like California, and it's kind of ride or die, you know what I mean,
it is.
on your dreams. So
yeah.
But go ahead.
So I go to a practice with Aftermath and Tampa Bay Damage. I get to play with the pro team, which was awesome. That was the first time I was ever like playing alongside
very cool.
Miles. So I go out, I go back home, and my uncle helps me drive over. So I'm not just driving over myself. I was 20 years old, 19 years old, driving across the coast. So now we're into 2000.
You said driving across the coast?
Yeah, we drove, and I had a 98 Nissan Altima with 150,000 miles on it. So it's kind of like a little scary. I'm like 19, and this time we're getting into 2009. So we're in 2009.
Okay.
We and I probably have $300 to $500 to my name. Mike was already like, you can come out here and just live with me. I have a guest room while you get your feet on the ground and get a job and all this stuff. And, so I drove over. Took me 3 days. And I shit you not, I drove up to practice on Saturday morning with my uncle. Like, we drove all night, all morning basically on Friday, and pulled up to Camp Pendleton.
Wow. Saturday
morning from like driving all the way, like all the bags in the car. And I get out, throw my stuff on, start practicing, and I remember this like specific moment where I was playing not so good, and Hinman's like, "You might as well pack your shit up and go back home. Turn this car around and drive back home if you're gonna play like this." And I'm like, and my uncle who I warned before this, I'm like, don't like. Maybe just to go away, don't listen to him because you're probably going to get mad or not understand his logic, but it's fine. So hearing that, I mean, it's kind of funny that I'm also going back to Mike's house to like stay with him. But we were cool, and we have a great relationship now. And he helped me develop a huge amount.
Would you say like that, like coaching, like did it fuel you at the time and make you realize?
I don't know if it fueled me, but it forced me to learn at a very fast rate than I had been. Like, you know, I always think that kids that start playing out here in California, they grow so much faster than probably like 3 times the rate than it takes you to grow over there. Because I was playing for a while before, but the amount that I learned in such a short span of time over here in Southern California was huge.
And that's to attest to, like, you know, in paintball, you can become a product of your environment.
Yeah.
You know, if you surround yourself with players that
and challenges,
it I call it time traveling.
Yeah,
it allows you to time travel in progressing through a sport.
Exactly. So next, I ended up playing World Cup with them. We got second place. That was another second place.
Damn, bro.
Yeah. So I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? And after, as we started to practice to the off season, me and Mike really started butting heads. And I was, at this time, I was on my feet. Marcelo, who had become one of my really good friends, he helped me, you know, go visit all these places on Craigslist, helped me get a job. He was like one of the hugest factors getting me on my feet out here. Mm-hmm. So me and him became really, really tight and grew a good relationship. And I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore with Mike. And I loved it out here so much that I was actually going to quit paintball.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever told you that, but like there was at a point, there was like a month period where I was like, I'm just going to just be done. But I love it out here. I want to stay out here. This is where I feel like I should have been my whole life. I just like the speed of things out here. And
I just wanted to touch on that really quick. You talk about passion, right? The way I see it and what you're talking about right now is your passion for paintball is what kept you doing it when you did face adversity, right? And like there's a Steve Jobs speech that he does, and he talks about, like, people say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing in order to become successful, and it's totally true. And the reason is, like, because what you're doing, like trying to play professional paintball, is so hard that if you don't have passion for it, you're gonna give up. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like people try many things in life, and like when it gets tough, you're not passionate about it. No. Like, fuck it, you're gonna quit. Right? But you were faced with a situation where, I mean, the adversity was up against you. Like, you had that contemplation of, like, hey, like, I'm gonna quit right now, right? But I would think that, like, your passion is what kept you in it. Yeah. So, just a tangent there for that.
No, I completely agree, and that actually goes right into the next part of what I was gonna say, is that at this point I grew a really good friendship with Brandon Shore and Scott and the HK guys, who were just making headbands out of the house at this point in time in 2010. And Brandon, we were at a barbecue, and he's like, would you want to, like, maybe come try out for the Ironmen? I'm like, of course I would want to come try out for the Ironmen. Like, I was waiting for an opportunity. I just wasn't working out with Aftermath. Yeah. So I went out and I tried out for Ironman, and I made the team, but again, I wasn't really quite at the level that everyone was. So I sat for like 3 tournaments. I played maybe 1 to 2 points. Okay. All these 3 tournaments, and then
this was 2010.
Yeah, this is 2010. Yes. And then the next year, I believe we lost. I'm not sure. I forget if that's when Oliver left. But if not, it was the next year, which would be 2012, the beginning of 2012, which I think it was. But we lost, like, Miko, Billy Wing stopped playing. We lost a bunch of core guys, and instantly I was forced into playing. Like, there was no option. Like, I needed to play. We started playing in that next 2011 year, I believe it was. I was getting a lot of play time, which in turn was bringing, my level of ability up
and
fast.
Your confidence
up
too,
because we're playing in the pro league. You're forced to learn, basically.
Oh, I mean, what you talk about in the beginning of playing paintball, being being terrible and being terrified. Like, okay, well, you're not terrible anymore, and if you're getting more playing time, like, you're not terrified. You become fearless.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd imagine that kind of, takes your game up to another level.
Exactly. And to do like a little side note is, you look at the Pro League right now, I think the Pro League is the most balanced it's ever been right now. Like any team can basically beat any other team.
Absolutely.
As you get into Sunday and you get in those final matches, it's a little bit harder. Like you can kind of look at the more experienced team is gonna win most of the time, unless the younger team makes no flaws and no mistakes. And it's cool. It shows you like when teams like Impact right now, who have been doing the best, it forces the other teams to get better because you have no other option.
Absolutely.
So that's where our league is right now, and it's really cool to see that, and I think it's better for the sport that all the teams are where they are at right now. But going back into that, like, I ended up getting a lot of responsibility with Ironmen, and started working at Dye, and ended up somehow falling into this team manager role. So I was booking all the flights, all the hotels, dealing with like all that stuff at 21, 22. So thrown in this responsibility, which was cool. At the same time, I felt like it kind of took me away from my focus on my actual game as a player. So I don't think that I'm doing Nordstrom stuff. I'm doing the team manager stuff. I'm also trying to play, and I feel like all that was not hindering my game, but not allowing me to unlock my full potential.
Okay.
But I was at a good spot. Sorry.
No, I'm going to say, like, there is some value into that, though.
Yeah.
Of gaining those responsibilities through
course.
paintball, because you might not have those same responsibilities of learning how an industry works and learning how to, like, time management and manage other people's schedules.
Yeah.
And so I think that there definitely is some value to that through paintball. But also, there's that aspect of it takes your mind off of like what you want to just be focused on. Because look, man, if you're getting paid a lot of money just to play paintball, that's the dream, right? Like I look at these NFL athletes and it's like they have one focus, and that's getting better.
Yeah.
And they're being compensated to do that.
Yeah.
Man, if that isn't the dream, like keeping your mind that simple, like I don't know.
You
what
have
it is.
You have a person to massage your
yeah.
hamstrings.
Dude, I'm
You have
sorry.
a person to tell you exactly how to work out. You have a person, like, if your pinky toe hurts, he's there to, like, make sure you're okay. So it's definitely pretty nice,
So I'd imagine, though, right, you did unlock this focus.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So where I'm at, as we're getting into the end of 2011 and going through 2012, I have a big role in the team. There's only like 5 core guys: me, Mike Paxson, Brandon Short, Rainey, Justin Swartz, Scott Kemp. We're like the core dudes of the team. So I went from this like not playing into a year of being a veteran on the team, and I'm basically forced into sink or swim. So I'm swimming at this point, financially and working to die and as a player.
Yep.
And we weren't in that finals tier as a team, but we were getting 3rd and 4th and 5th every tournament, 3rd, 4th, 5th.
It's very consistent.
So we were there, and at the end of 2012, they were bringing Mike Himman to the team to coach, and I'm like, no, like
pack your bags, go home, Kyle.
And it's funny, like now me and Mike have a super good relationship, but at the time, like, I'm thinking like, this is gonna be that all over again. So, but I was in a stable position, getting paid from Dye, and getting to play majority of the time on Ironmen. So I didn't really necessarily want to leave, but I was living in Brandon Short at the time.
Okay. And
Ryan Greenspan had been talking to Short, and he's like, I want you to come to the team. I want Kyle also. I want you guys both. And I was like, I don't really... Short actually made the decision a week before I did. And he went up to LA to take pictures with HK and do all this stuff. And I was still on the fence about it because I didn't know if I had kind of something good going with Dye and with Ironman. But a factor for me was, one, I didn't really, as much as I like the paintball industry, I like being a player more. And I felt like I was in this position where I was kind of starting to be like a Billy Wing or Miko, where I need to have a lot of my focus in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was for me at the time, and now I agree with that even more, is I don't think that was the right place for me to be. So I made the jump along with Short, and I feel really bad because Marcelo was just coming to the team. It was coming to Ironman, and we were been talking like, this is going to be great. We finally get to play together in the league. Like, it's going to be awesome. And then I had to call him and be like, I'm really sorry, I'm going to Dynasty. And he was bummed, but, you know, he's a mature guy. He understood, and he was like, go for it. I think it'll be good.
Absolutely.
So we're at this point. Me, Short, Tyler Harmon, we'd all joined Dynasty for the first time. Oliver was there. This was like a dream come true for me.
Absolutely.
I'm finally playing with all the guys that have been my idols, I've looked up to all my life. So we have 3 weekends of, I think it was actually 4 weekends of really strong, long, hard practices. Going into this event, I'm feeling pretty good. Go through this long, hard tournament. We have like one of the craziest matches of all time with Infamous, and this is like feeling really good. Like, I'm feeling right, but we're going into this finals match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, in the back of my head, there's this like second place devil sitting there. Like,
you're cursed.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm with Dynasty. Like, these guys, this is what they've been bred to do. You know, this is what they do. So that's on the other side, and we ended up going out and winning the tournament, and that was my first win ever. And
yeah, man.
With Dynasty, with these guys, so that was a pretty incredible moment in my life.
Can you just describe to me that feeling?
It was like,
I mean, that's a feeling that's been coming for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for that, I could see like on like Ryan and Alex's face, and Ryan always has this. He's like I should be here always. Like, it's kind of like,
right.
You know, he's happy, but he's like, this is what I do. You know?
Right.
I'm Ryan Greenspan. So I could see that on his face, and I see it on Alex's face, and Oliver is super passionate guy, so he's always gonna be super excited.
Right,
you know?
right.
And like, I'm super emotional, like crying. Like, this is my first, you know. Short actually didn't even get to play because he had broken his arm, so he didn't get to be there on that first win. But, you know, Tyler too, it was his first win with Dynasty, not as a player, but that was an awesome moment. And then at that, it just lit this fire in the team, and then we continued the next event to win another first place, and then unfortunately we had a little slip up and got a second place in Chicago. Had a little bit of tougher ending to the season, not as good, but we still won the overall series championship. So that was great. And that year, I also played with Art Chaos in Europe, and then I played with the team in Australia.
Was that the first time you played in Europe?
No, I had been playing in Europe for a couple years, but I was always playing with the Russian team, so that they kind of already had a idea that they wanted me.
Very cool.
So,
I mean, like, once upon a time, you know, your Kyle Spicka's story is locked, you know, right here.
Over here, yeah.
And then it gets, you know, unlocked here, and then, you know what I mean?
Travels.
You're over there right now, and that's pretty cool in itself.
Yeah.
The opportunity that paintball can give you.
Yeah.
Kind of to spread your wings, you know, a little bit, and experience things that you might never experience.
Yeah.
If you did choose to just go to school when you had to go to school, or... You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, that ended up being the best year I ever played. I won 7 tournaments, and I got like 3 second places.
Wow.
And on 4 continents. We did won a South America tournament. Those U.S. tournaments we won. I won like 3 tournaments in Europe playing with Art Chaos, and then I won 2 tournaments in Australia. So like,
you're all over the place, man.
That was the best year I had for sure. So
it
was cool. It was great, and I was so stoked that I made the decision to move to Dynasty. And I'm so glad and happy to be where I am right now. So
yeah, absolutely. And you know, the 2015 World Cup, man, like, you pulled off a shot that determined, you know, your team winning the Super Bowl of paintball.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that moment? Because for me, it's just like, you know, I said in the last part of the segment, I want Kyle to tell, you know, you guys, like, what it's going to take for you to compete at the highest level of tournament paintball. But he can definitely give you things like, you know, the drills that it takes and the conditioning and different things like that.
Sure.
But for me, I think this dude right here is so evident of the phrase, like, if you have $1 and a dream, like, you can make something happen. And
through the experience, basically.
You persevered, you know what I mean, in times of uncertainty, and it led you to this moment that you're about to talk about, and it led you to a moment like in 2013. But I think this is your defining moment, 100%. in your career. So let's hear it, man.
Building up to that, it was obviously my goal to make it a pro, then to win a
different
tournament.
goals.
Yeah, and a challenge to overcome, and that boundary that, you know, is there. And I just posted something on Instagram the other day that I'm like, that is what makes me strive to keep playing. That's the biggest addiction for me, is, you know, overstepping that boundary it's not really very attainable. So we win that whole year. I've won a lot of tournaments. We win the series, so I'm like, what's the next goal?
We have to set another goal.
Yeah. So we get to World Cup, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but, you know, Dynasty has won so much, but they hadn't won a World Cup in, I want to say, it's almost a decade. So it was a long time. Granted, they were winning in the years, like, tons of tournaments, but they were never at X-Ball winning that last tournament.
Right, and just really quick, I want to touch on this. Like, you know, for anyone who plays paintball, World Cup is the sacred final tournament
Super
of the
Bowl,
year.
like,
it is the Super Bowl of paintball, because, you know, I'm even thinking about it now going into this tournament, like, damn, like, this is a long 5 months that I gotta wait to play another paintball tournament after this. Yeah. So it's all in. You know what I mean? Everything you have, you put into World Cup, and to win a World Cup it's so legendary. You know, in itself, it's what everyone puts in the work for all year for that.
Not even just all year, but your whole life.
Your whole life, honestly.
Those moments are what you, as a kid, you aspire to experience.
It's funny because, you know, you're about to talk about this match that you played, but we played right before you. Yeah. In 2015 in semi-professional. Yeah. Seattle Uprising, we won a semi-professional World Cup tournament.
I remember that.
In 2015, dude, I can't even like put into words like the feeling.
Yeah,
that
you can't.
You can't. It's like, because when that moment happens, you really just start to reflect on, like, dude, like, what did it take to get here? Yeah. And you think about those, you know, long nights staying up. You think about the car rides and the plane rides, and you think about the relationships that you sacrificed to get there. Of course. And that one moment of fulfillment, that one moment of joy is worth everything. It's worth all the other 100% stuff. So
it's the best high you can ever have, you know.
It is, man. It is.
So it's like, as we went into that final match, I remember Oliver gave this speech. Like, you can, most of the people out there, I think, have seen that HK video, but if you haven't, it's really awesome piece of work to watch. But he gives this speech at the beginning that, even to this day, like, every time I watch it, it makes my hair stand up. It's so passionate. It comes straight from his heart, and you can see that it put everyone kind of in this, like, mentality and connection to each other, that was like, this is here, and we're gonna do it.
This is about to happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a magical thing, but it's not gonna be easy, and you're not gonna realize that it's gonna happen until, you know, it's done. It's a fight, and I remember, like, every single point that we were, the way the field area was, no one was really making any risks. So it was like, you're going out to these spots and you have to win this one small key element, like whatever it was, you know, beating your guy there, or like making the shot, or having, you know, just getting to your spot that might be a foot away. Right. Like, it was the
mistake-free
ball. Like the feeling of doing anything was so highly intensified versus, say, your practice. So we're going to this, and I remember I was going up against Fedorov to get to this one can on the snake side, And every time I was going, he was beating me there. Every time. And we were still winning a couple points, but they were beating us because he was beating me to this one spot and getting down. That's how small, like, the little factors were. And I remember looking at Dalton, and I'm like, dude, we're not going to win unless I can beat him to the spot and get control. So I have to, like, fight Fedorov, who is, like, the most dominant Russian player of all time. I'm like, so I remember getting out to the spot, and I'm just, like, looking at him, and his paintball is whizzing by my head, and I'm like, just trying to hold him in. We're just shooting at each other at this point, ride or die. He finally goes in, and that was, like, one of the biggest changing points, just something, like, as small as that.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember in detail, like, living that moment. It's like when you have a dream, you wake up the next morning.
Oh, yeah.
It's like... So, going after that, as we get into that one situation where we're up points and there's that minute left on the clock, I remember seeing there's that point where everyone, you have to go. They're risking right now, and we have everything to lose. They have nothing to lose. Both Fedorov and Chad get out to the side. So I make a risk and get in the snake, slowing them down, obviously, so they don't come all the way down. And I remember sitting in the snake, and as I look up, I'm seeing a lot of our guys drop off.
Like flies.
Yeah, and I mean, I've said this like a million times, but I remember thinking in that small time frame, not only about like what I needed to do, but we got put into the Challenger division the year before, and
You thought about this?
I thought about this, like, and I thought about like all these dudes' faces, like, as we lost that. And like, I remember back when we did that, I was like, I'm never gonna let like a Dynasty, this powerhouse and this legendary team, I'm never gonna let them down like that. Like, I'm gonna do everything I can to never put them in that type of position. And I thought about that really quickly.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I gotta do whatever it takes to make sure that Houston Heat doesn't win this point. And so I was able to come back, because I saw Greg coming down the Rio side, and I wanted to come back into like the snake insert bunker to try to get a shot on him, and I missed. Luckily, doing that, they kind of thought that I was still in the snake, obviously, and it delayed some time. And at this point, it's just me and Marcelo left. There's 4 of them. I'm able to squeeze a shot off on Mishka in the wall, and I hear Marcelo like, Kyle, like, I can't see him because there's all these bunkers in the way. And I knew what he's doing, and there was no time to talk about anything. It was just, he's basically like, I'm here. That assurance, like, helped me to formally, like, do everything. He's like, I'm here. And so, as I'm in the snake insert bunker, kind of watching Greg, I hear guns really loud over my head, and I'm like, these guys sound like they're like literally 2 people machine gunning right over top of my bunker. Yeah. And I come up, and I think Marcelo would squeeze a shot off on Fedorov as well. But I come up, and for me to you, this close, is Malloy shooting at Marcelo, and Fedorov literally 2 feet behind him. So I was able to shoot both of them. Oh my God. And then at this point, I'm like, I gotta go get eyes on Marcelo and see what's happening back there. So as I run back, Chad's just bunkering Marcelo, and it looked like his feet kind of had been unstable, and he had his gun down, and he looked at me, and I'm like, oh no, and he wasn't able to pull up his gun fast enough, so I pulled off a shot on him, and I go back to look around because I'm thinking, where I remembered Greg was like somewhere in the 50 Dorito, so I go back to look for him, thinking that he's kind of like slowing down a little bit just to clean up, and as I remember doing that, I'm like, oh shit, the time. And I happened to just look at the buzzer just to make sure he wasn't there. And of course, he was just like, I remember seeing his hand reach and shooting him. And I remember seeing a hit on him already. Like, so I didn't know if I shot him a bunch. And I'm like, they're going to be like, well, he hit the buzzer and I shot him a bunch after.
Right.
But I knew I had shot him for me. And thank goodness there was a referee straight directly in my line of vision, and he came over and he was like, absolutely not, I saw it happen.
Wow.
And he's like, in the video you can see, like, while the refs are still talking, I run to the crowd and I'm like, because he's like 100%, you got it.
Oh,
and that's when the replay came, and this like feeling as I'm like going down the sideline and everyone's like, it was the most amazing point of my entire life. It was cool.
And I'm just thinking about this right now. You were the kid in those stands in 2005 watching.
I've never even thought about it like that. It's
Dynasty and Excessive and watching Trauma and Russian Legion. And 10 years later, you're that fucking guy on the field pulling off the move to win the tournament for your team. Yeah. And the crowd is looking at you. Yeah. Because put that in perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's cool that you brought that up, because I've never even really thought about it like that, but that's
unbelievable,
incredible,
man. Yeah. And I really want you to break it down really quick, you know what I mean? Because Kyle's story, you know, it inspires me, and I'm taking a similar journey that he took to get and achieve a moment like that. It's gonna live forever. Yeah. You know, absolutely. But
like kind of what it takes to get there, and
you just tell these guys, like, you know what I mean? Because I see a lot of valuable lessons and in your story that people can take away from.
When I try to talk about this and teach this in my clinics a lot, the fundamentals and the snap shooting and all that stuff is not just like a certain way to do it, but you know how you're going to be strong in doing those aspects. Like you look at like Damian Ryans or Bobby Velez or those dudes are amazing paintball players, but they have very unorthodox playing styles. Like stuff that you are like, you know, that's a big no-no, like shooting across the bunker like this, but you know, those guys, you know, crush it doing that. So what I try to talk about and what helped me through my career was putting yourself into extremely difficult situations, asking those teams that are above you, asking you know, the D1 team when you're on D2, like constantly bugging them to put you into a position that you're not necessarily ready for, because that's what gives you the most growth as a player and gives you, you know, in practice, putting yourself into those 1-on-2s or 1-on-3s, stuff that you don't want to do. Like it's going to suck. Put yourself into the snake again in a 2-on-1 where there's like a high chance you might get bumped or something like that. That is going to give you like exponential growth. And for me, you know, that was a big thing. Like I wasn't ready to play pro on the Ironmen or be the team manager, but it forces you like into the situation that, you know, the biggest example that I think I could probably compare to a lot of the people out there and even you is like, you know, when in school you get an assignment or something like that, and obviously it's really shitty and you don't want to do it, like say writing a paper, but after you write that paper or you accomplish a goal, you're like, I didn't really realize that I was capable of doing something that was like so substantial and had so much meaning to yourself, you know, to like open this like understanding of what you're capable of doing. And it's really hard to realize that just going through the motions, because you're like, yeah, you know, I can do that, but when you get those challenges that are so difficult, it gives you like a new light kind of to what you're capable of doing, you know. And I think that's where you see like the greatest people in the world, and you know, like Elon Musk and people like that, they're internally able to challenge themselves, you know, without other people or supervisors or people like that, you know. And that's the biggest thing, is if you can put yourself into these challenges, you're gonna really exceed, you know, what's asked of you. So
absolutely, man.
That for me is I'm constantly, and obviously just a ton of playing, getting experience. You know, the biggest thing is, you know, you look at
taking every opportunity you can to play against those guys that are better than you, right? Taking those car rides and taking those plane rides, and deciding like, hey, like, no, I'm not going to do that right now. Like, I have this dream in my head, and if I really want this dream to become reality, I'm going to do this right now. Yeah. And really quick, if I can, you know, add to this, like, you're playing the long game. Yeah. Right? Like, you're not playing the short game. Yeah. The short game is, you can have success on a weekend or, you know, win a tournament like that. That's good and all, but the long-term qualities that you build, those are what's going to allow you to be consistent with your dream and re-experience it, over and over again. So that takes a belief in yourself.
It does.
It really does. Like, it takes a belief that, like, hey, I'm not cursed.
Yeah.
This is not how my story is going to go. I am going to push through this, and I'm going to create my own reality.
Yeah.
Right? And we all have the power to do that, no matter who you are, no matter what you have going on in your life. If professional paintball is important to you, like, no one should be able to fucking stop you.
No.
You are the only person that can stop yourself from, achieving those goals that you set for yourself.
Off of that, like what you're saying, like, another aspect too is that outside of paintball, you need to put yourself into uncomfortable situations with pro players or people that you aspire to be like. You need to go talk to. Like, I constantly encounter people like
network.
My friend, he's like one of your biggest fans. He wants to pick your brain, but he's kind of shy to talk to you. Like, you can't do that. Obviously, it's tough. Like, even for myself in the fashion world, I need to do that too to grow, and I haven't got to that point where I'm like, but I know it's there. Like, you need to do that, and I don't need to talk to you about that because you're doing a great job, especially with what you're doing is you're reaching out and you're building those relationships, and I know you've really taken that on from just being in school too as well. But you have to meet people, and you have to tug on the shoulders, and you have to come to them with good questions. And
absolutely.
I never, like, people come to me, like, if it's on Instagram or Facebook, I most of the time always answer them back, and especially if it's like a good, intriguing, like, question that kind of gets me going and kind of something that I haven't experienced before. I love answering those types of questions, and I love helping people out, and that's something that you should do as a player, and go out to these people that you really look up to. And I know sometimes might be a little frightening, but take that extra step to go talk to the person.
Absolutely.
Because there's no loss really you have.
No.
And if you come with some silly questions, maybe you might get laughed at, but that's only going to make you next time not come with a question like that.
Right. And no, I guarantee you, like the law of reciprocity, like if you come to Kyle and you bring him some value, like, hey, like, I can do this for you, and I think this can help you in that way. I'm sure Kyle's going to be like, hey, I can do this for you, and I think this can help you in this way.
Give you some new insight or a new outlook on life.
Absolutely.
Not just paintball,
Absolutely. All right, let's wrap this up. You're going into the final tournament of the year. This is the World Cup. We both are. How is San Diego Dynasty looking right now? How do you feel going into this tournament? What will it mean to you winning this tournament? Because you've already won a World Cup before.
Yeah.
Break that down.
So basically, I think for this year we have all the elements we need. We won that first event. We've had some bad tournaments. We played all the teams that basically in the league, so we have an understanding of what we're up against, what we need to do, what it takes to win, what it takes to lose. And between all those factors, and between it being like you have your Yosh, Alex, and Ryan for the logistic part of it, is a recipe. I mean, we're right there. What it takes is just no mistake paintball, and it takes that passion and that knowing that we have the capability to win. We just have to go out there and execute. So it's more so than just practice. It's the mentality, and it's the preparation. I remember even Marcelo this week, he's like, every day, like, no matter what you're doing, if it's at the gym or if it's at work, just think about World Cup, and just think about what you might need to do to better the team to win World Cup. Even if you're not physically, you're doing it mentally, getting prepared every single day. Like, even if it's 30 minutes, just think about it, or watch a game, and all the small things, because they add up, obviously. And you look at like the greatest of sports, like the Mayweathers, the Jerry Rice, like all those people, went the extra mile. So you got to go the extra mile, and I think that everyone's kind of on that same page. So obviously, besides like the regular practice routines, that's what you do to go the extra mile mentally for yourself is what's going to give you that confidence, you know.
And what would winning this tournament mean to you?
Winning this tournament to me would be a
Expected?
lot, man. You know, I do expect that we would win this tournament in some way. It's not, for me, it's not so much that, you know, like, it's like a hope or like, I know that that's where we should be, and I'm constantly feeling like that on our team. So going out there, it would, you know, it's something that, yeah, I feel that we deserve.
It should happen.
It should happen, yeah.
It should happen.
You know, I'm kind of done at the point in my career to where I'm like hoping, you know, I'm not gonna do the second place anymore. I'm not gonna. And if something does happen, like in the last Millennium tournament, it kind of got a little messed up by the refs, and I know this sounds like too cocky, but I'm dealt with all this stuff before. Like, if something happens to the ref from referee point or something like that, I don't take it hard anymore. Like, I don't take the loss. Yeah, obviously, we should have done better to put us instead of being in that position. But the hardest ones for me are when I'm making mistakes or if we did something as a team. But all that other stuff is kind of out of your control, and I don't think it's something to dwell on. You know, ever. And there'll be other opportunities. So.
Yeah, and you know, if you put everything into it, you can go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
You know, before that tournament. But
Yeah,
showing up, that's a
the
whole
biggest
other
thing.
story.
Yeah,
You know
so
what I mean? Showing up.
I'm confident that we'll do well, and I think we have the recipe. Just no mistake paintball, and I expect it. It's like
awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, this was this was a lot of fun, man. Your story, and I feel like people can get so much value out of this. So I really hope you guys do. And so we will be in Kissimmee, Florida. It's near Orlando, Florida. We will be there on November 3rd.
I believe first weekend in November.
First weekend in November. Come find us at the NXL Paintball Tournament for the World Cup.
Remember, ask those questions. Come with some good questions.
Yes.
Ask your favorite pro players. I promise you, they won't make you feel embarrassed. They'll be
and before then, where can people find you?
At Kyle Gossing on Instagram, Kyle Spicka on Facebook, K Spicka on Twitter, and go follow my clothing line too, Lyle Karen.
Yeah. Awesome, and I'll put all those up there for this episode. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. We had a blast. Yeah. We hope you did as well. Stay tuned for episode 6 of the AG21 show, and we'll see you guys soon.
See you at World Cup.
Scott Kemp stops by to talk about the new and improved Los Angeles Ironmen, his career and lifestyle in the fitness industry, and what you need to do to sustain peak athletic performance on the next episode of the AG21 show.